Good morning, everyone. Once again, good morning. And I'm audible.
Good morning. Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, you're audible, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. So this is the webinar for Red Hat OpenShift. It is I just added tagline in my slide. Hope all of you are able to see the screen. Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Before starting this webinar, I just introduce myself to all of you. This is Mitali from Complete Open Source Solution. Uh, I'm a Red Hat certified OpenShift 3.9 version, then 4.2 and 4.5, including that my platform is I'm taking delivering training on regular basis like Ansible automation management toolset and configuration management toolset Puppet, and basic course of Linux RACSA and RACE of latest version RHL 8, including that the DevOps tools, you can say Docker, containers, Kubernetes. These are all my platform. Uh, Before starting this session, this is the session in Red Hat OpenShift. I just added tagline in the slide. Hope you all are able to see. This is the smartest way to develop and deploy the containerized application. Okay, so what exactly this terminology Red Hat OpenShift? Some of the candidates joined here, they are already exposed to the uh, containers, Docker or Kubernetes, and some of the candidates here, they are freshers. But yes, they all I hope all of you are system admin Linux. Okay, uh, Linux operating system knowledge you must have. Okay, prerequisite for this course is you must have to know the basic commands. I'm not telling that equivalent knowledge is required, certification is not mandatory. The Linux system administrator part, and if you are already exposed to the containers or Dockers kind of thing, that is better. Okay, uh, so for, before starting this webinar or joining this specific course, you have to understand what exactly this OpenShift is. So it is a smartest way to develop and deploy the containerized application. So what exactly the containerized application? uh, what you understand the containerized application is?
Guys, there is a lot of disturbance. Can you go on mute, please?
Yes, those who are not speaking, please go on mute. Thank you. If you have any query, you can put in the chat box. Once this is done, I will come to you individually. What exactly your doubts regarding this course, or whatever your requirement, we will discuss. Okay, so what exactly the Red Hat OpenShift do? It is just to develop and develop containerized application. So what does it mean by containers? So let me take you to that slide. So our course objective is, we have to, in a descriptive manner, we have to know what exactly OpenShift, why we are going for OpenShift nowadays, and what the declarative architecture, and we have to just comparison some of the imperative and declarative commands, and what are the resources we are using in OpenShift, and what is the driving factors. Okay, so these are our course objective we have to know in our course deliver section. Next to that, before moving to define what is OpenShift, I just mentioned a terminology. It's a better way to develop and deploy the applications, containerized application. I'm using a terminology over there, containers. So before define the OpenShift, I want to expose that what exactly container. Might be some of you are already know what exactly containers. Might be you work some of the container tools, like some are exposed to some Docker or Podman kind of thing, as it is a part of Linux course now in your system admin course. So what you understand, what exactly container? So I can define this container. Let me show you this picture. Hope it's a you can see the diagram how this container comes into the market. All of you are able to see?
Yeah, yes,
Is
ma'am.
it okay? Thank you. So now 5-10 year backs, we deploy the application onto the physical host. Then we are moving towards the virtualization. So I put the three method, traditional processes, and another part I am just segregating virtualization. Then I am just explaining the container, what exactly the container is. So 5-10 year backs, when we deploy any application on the physical host, then we are moving, after that we are moving towards virtualization. Suppose for example you have a running multiple application, like you can network file system application, http application, or any database related application, any application. So you have to, earlier days, what we are doing, we deploy the application on the physical host, then we are moving towards the virtualization. In that sense, we are running our application on top of the VM. You people are exposed to VMware or Oracle VirtualBox or kernel virtual machine. With the help of hypervisor, we are moving towards the virtualization, so that on top of our operating system, or you can say physical host, okay, we are running multiple operating system, and the task is isolated from each other. Okay, then then slowly we are moving towards container. So what exactly that container is? Some of the people having the mindset, or they can say that Docker is container. Okay, so but it's a different terminology. Okay, don't imagine that a container means Dockers. Okay, so it is a mindset that okay, containers, I know it's a Docker kind of thing. Okay, no, using Docker you can start, you can stop, or create the container, or you can log into the container. So Docker is simply a tool to pull the images, basically publish the images. Means we can put it in the registry, and we can pull some images, we can push or we can run with the Docker tool. Okay, so what exactly container, how we define? Because we have to develop and deploy the application, containerized application in OpenShift. So prior to that, we have to do what exactly container. So container you can define in three perspective. As the operating system perspective, if you are going to define what exactly the container is, so container is a process that is running inside the sandbox. Because we all system admin people know operating system. Okay, so operating system, whatever we are running of a program is called a command. Either you are using now in RHL 8 operating system, you are getting the dashboard concept of cockpit, or whatever the command you are running. So according to the operating system perspective, if I define the container is just a process which is running inside the sandbox, and the container processes are completely isolated from your host operating system. So how host operating system term means what? I in this diagram you can see I write a host operating system, then hardwares, then OS kernel, then operating system services, then containers are running. In on top of container, two containerized applications are running, application 1 and application 2. So what is this host operating system? The host operating system term referred to the physical machine. It referred to the virtual machine or private or public cloud based instance. Container basically deploy anywhere. Okay, so the container is a feature or technology provided by the Linux kernel. Container is a technology provided by the Linux kernel. So how the container processes are isolated from the host operating system with the help of namespace. So it will not related to host operating system. The container process, what are the processes are running inside your containers, it is isolated from your host operating system. Means either your physical machine or virtual machine or any public or private cloud based instance, like you can say AWS cloud, OpenStack cloud. Okay, so Google cloud platform. So how they are isolated with the help of namespace. And next is who can manage the container resources. So there is a Linux kernel feature C group, control group, it will manage the resources. So resources in the sense, you can say when we create a container, it consumes some memory, it consumes some CPU, or or you can say storage. So that all are manage the system resources by the kernel feature is called C group. And the next is nothing but called the security. How the container processes are run in a secured way, who provide the security. Another kernel feature comes into the picture, that is called the SC Linux, Secure Enhanced Linux, or SC Comp Security. So each kernel having some capabilities, what to do, what not to do. Suppose if you are exposed to the Linux admin basic part, you know that as a regular user I cannot change the ownership. Why? Because a regular user cannot run the ch own command, it's beyond his capability. Who designed this? Okay, so this all security thing we have to, how the container processes are secured with the help of SC Linux or SC Comp. Okay, what a containerized application capable to do. Okay, what I can run inside that. So this way you can define operating system perspective. You can define container is just a process running inside the sandbox, and container processes are isolated from your host operating system. Second definition, as a system admin perspective, how I define what a container is. So the system admin perspective, container is, please go mute those who are not speaking. So whatever the container process, okay. So as a system admin perspective, if I am going to define what exactly the container, so container is just an application. So what does it mean by application? Application can be Java, it can be Perl or Node.js, or you can say any database application, MySQL or PostgreSQL or MariaDB, MongoDB. Okay, which is portable on different environment. Application can be deployed on physical or physical machine or virtual environment, or as I said any private or public cloud based instance you can say. Okay, so here you can, as a system admin perspective, when you define container is nothing but an application. Application can be of any type, any middleware application, any front end application, or any database related application. So here portability is the beauty of container. So, what is the terminology portability? Means we can build and ship the container anywhere, anytime. Why? Because it required less footprint hardware. Means it consume very less resources, CPU, memory, virtual memory, etc. Okay, so this way I can define. Okay, operating system perspective, I understood that okay, container is a process. Okay, in system admin perspective I understood that it's nothing but an application. But when I come to define as a developer perspective, what exactly the container is, means how you are packaging the application, how you are building the application, means how you are defining the code, what is the code dependency, and how you are building the images. Which image? Container image. So image is nothing but, all of you know, it is a read only entity. Image having its universal format, either a custom image or application image, or you can use the docker files. Inside that you can write the OS dependency and all the dependency and packaging that application. So developer perspective, you can define how we are going to packaging this application to building this app. Okay, so this way you can define the containers. Earlier we are using the traditional operating system, everything we are running on top of the host operating system. When virtualization comes into the picture, what we do, on top of operating system we are running what, one more operating system. That operating system, again we load the OS kernel, again we load the operating system services, all the runtime libraries, binaries, each application we have to load. But when you are going to the containers, okay, containers is nothing but you can run on top of host operating system, which can carry its own runtime libraries or its own binaries or all the dependency to run the containerized application. Is it fine? What exactly container, you gain some idea?
Yes, Mitali.
So now I just move. What is OpenShift now? So this is our first slide. I just wrote over here. The OpenShift is nothing but the smartest way to develop and deploy containerized application. Okay. So what is OpenShift then? Okay, what is OpenShift? We have to discuss in this course curriculum the high level overview of what OpenShift is. So OpenShift is a Red Hat open source container application platform for developing and hosting enterprise grade container application of the various cloud computing model such as infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and service as a service, or you can say software as a service. So OpenShift is a Red Hat platform as a service offering. Once deployed the application, OpenShift itself take care of managing underlying infrastructure components, thereby enabling the developers. And so what the developers want, they can do what they can do their best. Okay, so this is nothing but OpenShift is nothing but a platform as a service. So what is platform as a service? Red Hat platform as a service. Yes, any idea? What exactly platform as a service means? The platform as a service means providing you computing platform which typically include OS, programming language, execution environment, a database, web server. Technically it is a layer on top of the infrastructure as a service. That is, the computers that you can get in the platform as a service offering have a fixed operating system. You can run your software on top of this. Example, if you can say, you can deploy any code on top of your Google App Engine. Yes or no? In Google App Engine, directly you can type. Okay. So similar way, OpenShift, AWS, Elastic Beanstalk, Windows, Azure, Salesforce. Okay. So OpenShift is a Red Hat platform as a service offering. Once it is deployed, OpenShift will take care of managing the underlying infrastructure components, thereby enabling the developers they do what they can do their best. Okay, so OpenShift is coming in different flavor. What are the different flavors of OpenShift? One is OpenShift Origin. OpenShift Origin, which is the original upstream open source project from which other models are derived. In our classroom curriculum, we have to discuss what are the different flavors of OpenShift. Second one is OpenShift Online. OpenShift Online is Red Hat's publicly hosted version of OpenShift Origin, available for application development and hosting purposes. Third one is OpenShift Dedicated. It is managed by the private cluster or in the AWS or Google Cloud environment. And fourth one is OpenShift Enterprise is an on-premises private platform as a service offering from Red Hat. So so what are the flavors of OpenShift? That when we introduce the architecture, again I will elaborate in our course curriculum. Let me move to the next slide. So why we are not running the containerized application, why we are moving towards OpenShift or Kubernetes? Okay, so generally students are confused. What is the difference between OpenShift and Kubernetes and containers? Okay, containers also in the Docker I can run the containers. Please go mute all of you. If you have any query, you can put in the chat box. Okay, thank you. So now, so in the container application, okay, so when I deploy an application using the Docker or using the Podman, and now I ask, can you monitor your entire cluster? Means monitoring means if any of the node goes down, it my container or in if my container die, who is going to bring up my application? Okay, so if in that case I want that my application is up and running without any down state. Okay, and every time my cluster or whatever the nodes in my cluster continuous health check, monitor if any if any one of the node goes down, automatically how another node will take care of that application, all these things. This is possible, the orchestration kind of thing is possible with the help of Kubernetes. Now, before I am distinguish what is OpenShift and what is Kubernetes, this is a slide in front of you. What we have to discuss in our 3 days of learning of this OpenShift System Administrator 2 course. So this is having the 3 days of course. First, we have to again introduce in a brief what exactly Red Hat OpenShift container platform. Next, we have to discuss about the verifying the cluster. Before we are verifying, we have to know what are the resources we are using in our OpenShift, and we have to discuss the authentication. We are configuring the authentication kind of thing, means security. And suppose, for example, I just give an example. If you want to deploy one project, in that project 3 4 people are working, 3 4 user are working, and each user having different role on that project. Someone is having admin role, someone is having edit role, or someone is having view role. Okay, so how I authorized some user to how I authorize the how we assign different roles to the user, or different roles to the group members to perform the task in my cluster. And what are the authentication method, they are the valid client, they are the valid group members or valid user. So I have to mention some identity provider method, like you can say LDAP identity LDAP providation method, or HTTP provide method, or I have to use some token key token based authentication, token based authentication, that we will discuss in the day one of the curriculum. Okay, in our curriculum we are going in an elaborative way what is HT password authentication and authorization, because in without login to the cluster you cannot run any project or you cannot deploy your application. Okay, so second day we are going to discuss how to control the access of OpenShift resources. Prior to that, I will define what exactly the resources in day one. Then we slowly move towards the networking, OpenShift networking components. And what is the pod scheduling? The pod scheduling chapter we have to discuss about the region. Okay, the availability zone. Okay, if any catastrophic failure occurs, how I can take care of my application. These all things we have to discuss in the day two of course. And third day we have to discuss scaling, because I use a word in the containers. I cannot monitor the entire cluster. If any node goes down, automatically I cannot bring up my cluster. So how the auto scaling, auto healing thing is happen in OpenShift, we have to discuss in the day three of discussion. And including that performing cluster updates, means if we want to change version change, cluster update means now recent version is 4.6, we are in 4.5. So one version, one minor version, two major version, what are the procedure? Okay, over the air procedure now, or blue green, earlier we are using some script, some blue green deployment or something. So these things we have to discuss in the day three. And as well as we have to discuss whatever the command line utility, how we can do in the web console. Okay, how we manage the cluster with the help of dashboard. So this is the agenda and the topics we are going to discuss in the OpenShift System Administrator 2. The course code is do280. Next. Okay, so before I am giving the immutable all these things, let me discuss the architecture of OpenShift. So before I am discussing the OpenShift, I am telling what Kubernetes is the orchestration tool. It will manage your scaling of your application, or deploy your application, or all the resources of Kubernetes we are using. So next question raise in your mind, what why we are learning OpenShift and what is the difference between this Kubernetes and OpenShift. So Kubernetes power, obviously under the hood Kubernetes resources are working only. So Kubernetes powers the deployment and management. This Docker images across the large cluster by providing self-healing. I am using a word, self-healing. If or one node goes down or one pod is not running, one container is not running, so how I know, how I will monitor? Okay, what is the resources? So at that time, Kubernetes comes into the picture to do the self-healing and auto-scaling feature. But what is the use of OpenShift now? If orchestration is done by the Kubernetes, why we go for OpenShift? So OpenShift builds on this technology by providing a layer of tools that abstract the underlying Kubernetes and infrastructure management task. OpenShift add support for the developer tools. Developer tools in the sense, you can say the source control management. So OpenShift build on integration with SCM, source control management softwares, you can say like GitHub. Okay, or you can say any source control management software, but GitHub is the version control system. Okay, it is built in integration with our OpenShift. Second advantage is what? OpenShift has built in integration with pipelines that helps the developer rapidly and consistently develop, build, and test the deployment application. Third thing is what? OpenShift helps and manage the container runtime images by providing built-in registry. This is the terminology included new in OpenShift version 4.x onwards. I'm using 4.x means up to 3.11. The OpenShift is run on top of Docker containers. Now I am using, it helps and manages container runtime images by providing built-in registry. So what is the container runtime images or OpenShift? You can use the terminology here, OCI. OpenShift, Open Container Initiative means either you use Docker or you can use LXC or Drawbridge. Okay, any tool you can use. Okay, so it will manage the container runtime images and including the built-in registry also, where we can get the container image. Already it is not mandatory we have to depend on the Docker registry, or we have to pull the images from the registry. Registry means what? So whenever you are deploying one application, okay, so containerized application, when you want to deploy, so where the container image is available, every container application is run with a container image. So where the container image is available, the container image is available in a registry. Registry means either it is a private registry or it is a public registry, or in your organization they are using some VMs as a local registry. So public registry, all of you heard that Docker Hub, Docker IO, registry dot redhat.io. So you have to give your credential and pull the images from the registry and deploy the application. This is the support given in the OpenShift. Next is what? How I will differentiate in the Kubernetes to OpenShift? OpenShift becomes support with the higher networking tool that is called software defined networking with the capabilities that is out of the box. Okay, so how the networking will manage, how I know if if I create 5 application, 5 replicas, how it will monitor all the application, how it will auto scale, okay, how it will run in a high availability mode, everything. Okay, who will balance the load, how, what is the algorithm behind this, what is the rule behind this all thing we are going to discuss in our OpenShift networking chapter. What are the policies? Okay, so these things it is included with the software defined networking. And last but not the least, OpenShift provide out of the support for the project. Okay, means teams and user teams, in the sense you can say group and users, and manage access to the application. We will look each of these in depth in the latter in our course discussion. Okay, so just you understand that in OpenShift, when we are running a containerized application, it will not support only the Docker registry. Now it will support with the, you can say, QA registry, any private or public registry, to get the runtime container images or what are the images available in the public registry. It will give support to the version control system. It will give support to the pipelines, integration with the pipelines, which help the developer rapidly and consistently develop and build and test the deployment application. Okay, so here is the picture I just saw, just a declarative diagram of the OpenShift architecture. Earlier version, if you can say, or already some candidates here might be work in their organization up to 3.11 version, they might observe that the OpenShift is running on top of the RHEL 7 operating system. But OpenShift 4 onwards, we are getting the OpenShift is run on top of the control plane. I will explain you what exactly the control plane. It is running on top of Linux core OS. Means it is nothing but a container Linux. What is container Linux? Containers having lot of feature. Okay, so I know it is a portable. I know it's a application isolated from the OS kernel, but my OpenShift, all the application deployment, my OpenShift platform is now all the control plane components are going to run not on any Red Hat Enterprise Linux or anything. It is running in a Linux core operating system. Container, that core operating system is nothing but called what? Container Linux. Okay, so next you raise a question here. Why we build core OS? Why not in Red Hat Enterprise Linux? So container Linux is an open source lightweight operating system based on Linux kernel and designed for providing the infrastructure to cluster deployment. At the same time, it will help for automation, ease of application deployment, security, okay, reliability and scalability. So container Linux redefine the operating system as smaller, more compact Linux distribution. If you are running in the traditional distribution, packages unused software that lead to dependency conflict or needlessly increases the attack surface. But core operating system run on most of the cloud provider, virtualization platform and bare metal server. So core operating system also support the container runtime, all of the popular method of running the container. So these all things we have to discuss in our course curriculum. You can choose to interact with the containers at low level or to use a higher level orchestration from the work. So either you choose the Docker, Rocket, Drawbridge, LXC. These all are the OCI tool, Open Container Initiative tool. Next, I just move towards the architecture. In our OpenShift architecture or in the OpenShift cluster, there are two types of nodes are available. One is called the master node and second one is called the worker node. In the master node, what we have to do? Because when you want to log, your final end is what? Platform is ready, because OpenShift is nothing but what? Platform as a service. Platform is ready. You developer people come you with your application. Application means any type of application, either it is a HTTP application or Node.js application or PHP application. Okay, so each application, your final target is I want to run my deploy. I want to develop and deploy my application on the OpenShift container platform. Okay, so when you want to run any application, where I have to run, how I log into the cluster. So you must have to know the architecture of OpenShift. In the architecture of OpenShift, there are two nodes. One is called master and second one is called the worker node. In the master node, this is called the controller node. Controller node means what? How we log into the cluster. Okay, suppose one of you come with your application having required this much of resources. My application is required this much of CPU, this much of memory. So you have to tell them my application, to run my application, this much of resources is required, this much of memory is required, this much of CPU, this is the minimum and maximum memory CPU, this much of hardware is required. I can create 5 6 replication. Okay, same application I want to clone. So how this all control plane components each run on your master node, and where you deploy your application, you can deploy your application on the worker node. Okay, so now before going to this slide, let me show you the picture and explain you. So there are two types of things in our OpenShift architecture. One is called the master node, second one is called the worker node. So before you are login to the cluster, what is required? Anyone cannot log into the cluster. You have to record some username, password, some token, some identity provider method. So you have to log into the cluster. This is in the master node components. The four master node components are: one is API server, one is scheduler, one is controller, and one is etcd. API server, what is the API server? Because master node is nothing but what? It will run all control plane component. Control plane components, again it's a question. What this API server will do? What is this API server will do? Yes, any idea? Anyone? So when you have login to the cluster, when you are login to the cluster, who will verify you are a valid client or not? Okay, so API server is responsible for orchestrating all the application in the cluster. It exposes the Kubernetes API, which is used by the external user to perform the management operation in the cluster, as well as various controls to monitor the state of the cluster. Everything is monitored by with the help of API server. Okay, so it is nothing but, why I'm writing kubectl, either you are using Kubernetes or you are using OpenShift. In the OpenShift we are using the command line tool OC. In Kubernetes we are using the command line tool kubectl, or you can run your application in the web console. So to log into the cluster, okay, so who is there? API server is there. API server is nothing but to monitor the state of the cluster and make necessary changes as required by the worker node and communicate to the server. To communicate with the server, API server play a vital role. Next component is what? Scheduler. Scheduler means what? I want to deploy my application. My application consume this much of resources, this much of CPU, this much of storage, this much of memory. Okay, so you cannot decide in my cluster if multiple worker nodes are there where I have to run my application. Who will decide? Scheduler. So scheduler identify the container need to be placed on which node based on its size, its capacity, how many containers are already in the node, and a certain condition. Okay, so it will identify, the scheduler will identify the right node to place the container based on the container resource requirement, the worker node capacity, or any other policy and constraint, such as we have to discuss node affinity rules and performance, etc. So you are telling my application is suppose 10 GB, but in your worker node this is only can run 5 GB. So how I will deploy my application in worker node 1? So scheduler will schedule, identify the container need to be placed on which node based on its size, its capacity, or it will identify the which is the right node to place the container based on the container resource requirement. Okay, so scheduler will schedule according to the container specification. Next, controller. What is the component controller will do? What the controller will do? So the Cube controller manager, controller are available to take care of different area. Like node controller take care of node. If any node become not available or some migration is happening or something is, it will go down from my cluster, worker node 2 is goes down. Okay, so controllers are available to take care of different area like node controller. If the node become unavailable or get destroyed, and the replication controller are assured that the desired number of containers are running at all time. So how they will decide who will monitor regular basis? The component is controller. Next is what? etcd. etcd is nothing but what exactly etcd? It is a database that store value in a key value format. Many containers are created or deleted on daily basis. Which application on which node, what time it was loaded, etc. All these things, all the resource definition is done with the etcd database. At the back end, it will done with the etcd database. Okay, it will store the value in a key value format. Okay, so whatever in our cluster, sometimes containers are created, deleted, okay, on daily basis, or we have to decide which application on which node, what time it is loaded, all this information, all the resource definition. Okay, how many containers are running in the worker node 1, how many pods are running. Okay, so these all things, all the resource definition is stored in the etcd database. Okay, next is nothing but what? Worker node. Master node is nothing but four control plane components. In the worker node, we are going to deploy our application. Which application? Container application. So here we are using a terminology or resource, you can say kubelet. Okay, so kubelet is also a kubernetes resource. What the use of kubelet? So kubelet is an agent that run in each node in the cluster. I am saying what? Each node. Students are thinking in master node kubelet is not running, only in the worker node. Okay, how to design that master node is not going to schedule any application, that is we have to discuss in our course curriculum. But remember that kubelet is an agent that run in each node in a cluster. It listen for the instruction from the kube api server and deploy and destroy the container on the node when required. Okay, so kube api server fetch the status report periodically from the kubelet to monitor the status of the nodes and containers on them. So how the controller will check, health check or monitor this node status, or this inside the node how many pods are running, how they monitor this? Controller cannot communicate directly with the worker node. So to communicate this one, controller will communicate with API server, and API server regular basis communicate with the agent to follow up the status of the node with the kubelet. So each worker node, there is a agent is running in each worker node is calling kubelet. So kubelet listen the instruction from the kube API server and deploy and destroy the container on the node when required. And the kube api server also fetch the status report periodically from the kubelet to monitor the status of the node and containers on them. Okay, so next is what? Kube proxy. So what is this kube proxy? If I want to communicate whatever the applications running in worker node 1, it is communicate with another node, this application. So at that time, kube proxy establish a connection to communicate one node components to other node components. One node application I want to communicate with other with the help of kube proxy. And where we, if we run a container, okay, so where we get the image? Now this docker is including the Docker, we can use the OCI tool. OCI tool means either you can get the images from any registry. Okay, so either you use the Docker tool or you can use the tool Podman, okay, to get the images from the registry. Or in your organization, either they use Docker, LXC, Drawbridge, Rocket. Okay, so this all things you can get. Yes, Madhuri. Pardon? Any query, Madhuri? You raised your hand.
Nothing more.
Okay, thank you. So now, to run this container in Node, okay, to run this container in Node, where we get the images, okay. Now, OpenShift 4.x onwards, we are not only depend on the Dockers. Yes, we can go for any runtime images. Okay, it will give support to any open container initiative. Okay, either we use Docker or we can use the tool Podman. So now what is the difference between Docker? Why not a Docker? Why Red Hat is developed another tool Podman? So Podman, and the difference between Docker and Podman is Docker is depends on the daemon. One daemon is running in the background. So if you want to make any changes, you have to systemctl command to interact with the Docker service. Systemctl start, systemctl stop, systemctl enable, systemctl disable, docker.service. Okay, so in case of Podman is working like your yum repository. Podman is working like your yum repository. Okay, so you are using similar command like your docker pull. Okay, you want to run a container application with a docker run. If you want to any, if you are pulling any image from third party registry and you want to push to your private registry or local registry, docker push. Similarly, you just replace the keyword with Podman to run a containerized application. Podman pull, Podman images, Podman run, Podman push. So these are nothing but the tools. Okay, so using that tool we are getting the images from the registry and we are going to deploy our application on some of the node. Okay, so who will schedule the application? Scheduler will decide where your application is going to be run, and how scheduler, controller, and all the resource definition of your cluster in the etcd database, it's stored in a key value format. How they interact, how the master components interact with the worker node components, and how master will monitor which pods are running, how many replicas are running, how I auto scale my application, how I auto healing my application. All these things is, all these things master node components are communicating with the worker node components with a agent kubelet, and they cannot directly communicate, they must communicate with the API server. So from starting the authentication and authorization, authentication means you have to log in my cluster as a anonymous user or as a valid user. What is the provider method? Have you any token? Have you any LDAP identity provider? Have you any HTTP identity provider? Once authentication done, you log into my cluster. You cannot manage all my cluster resources. You cannot manage all the application of running in a specific project. So this will how I control. We have to discuss in the role based access control. Okay, so these all things we are going to discuss in our course curriculum. Yes, Giri, any query? Please you put your query in the chat box, or yes, if any confusion you
I
can
already
ask
kept
me
in
again.
a chat box.
Okay,
Can you
sure,
please?
sure. I just look into that. uh, okay. uh, Explain again difference between Podman. Okay, Docker. Okay, thank you. Thanks for raising the question, Giri. So the difference between Docker and the Podman. Okay, so the only difference is I can elaborate more difference in our class. I will show you, okay, prior to this course is started. In this course I am going to deliver those already not exposed to the container and interested to learn OpenShift. I have to take 2 hours, 2 days of session for this containers. And the difference is what, in Docker one daemon is running in the background. Like if you are a Linux system admin, you people know each service having a daemon like SSH, SSHD daemon, HTTP, HTTPD daemon, means the background service are running with a daemon. Similar way, Docker having a daemon. If you want to allow some registry, either Docker IO or any public registry redhat.io or any private registry, or you want to, if you don't have internet connection, you want to block some registry or any changes you made, so at that time you have to restart the service. Systemctl restart a Docker service. You can manage the daemon with the help of systemctl command. But in case of Podman is nothing but simply like your yum repository. Means you cannot start stop with the systemctl command. Okay, you can use the similar tool like your Docker command. Commands are same, just you replace a word with the help of Podman. Okay, for that you have to install a package, right? You are regularly install a package using the yum tool, RPM or DNF. Okay, or you are in the Ubuntu operating system, you are using apt-get. Okay, something. So while you are like you are installing, simply you are installing the Podman as an individual RPM, or you can run the command similar way as a Docker, but there is no daemon is running at the background to start stop the service. All these things are not there in case of Podman. Directly you are log into the registry, get the images, and you can verify with the, like you are using Docker PS, Docker images, how many containers are running. So all these things you can do with the help of Podman now. Okay, so now uh, yes, where we are in the architectural diagram. So two things we have to discuss in a declarative way: what is the master node and what are the control plane components. Okay, and the second thing is worker node is nothing but run your containerized application. How to communicate to the master node and worker node? In the master node, why it is called control plane components? Control plane means it is controlling, it will decide with the help of Kubernetes scheduler. Controller manager will take care and monitor, okay, each components. Node controller manager, why my how many applications are running, what is the desired number of application, this desired number application up and running into 24 into 7, it's CD. All the resource definition, resources in the sense, you from which image you are running, what is the image stream, what is the container image you
Hello.
are using, what is pod. Okay, so you are distinguishing what the all the OpenShift resources, you can say pods, nodes, project, replication controller, deployment file, build configuration. Now someone is telling, I want to build my application from source code. Where the source code is available? Sometime before I am telling that it is integration with the source control management. So I want to get the code. Okay, okay, from I want to get the source code and build my image S2I. No, I want to deploy my application from the template. No, I will deploy my application from the Docker image, okay, available in my registry. No, I want to run my application with some environment variable. So how I deploy my application? Okay, all the resource definition, what is the deployment resource file from which my image is built, what is my component, okay, pod, okay, image stream, what is replication controller. Okay, so all these things is stored, all the resource definition are stored in the etcd. Okay, now the worker node, after the scheduler it decide where your application is running in which node. Okay, so how they check? With the help of kubelet agent. Okay, and it is not only support the not only support, you can say, the Docker, any container runtime initiative, as I repeating this word, either Docker, Rocket, Drawbridge, Alexis. Okay, so to get the container images, it is supported OpenShift version 4 onwards. Fine. So this is nothing but a quick whatever description. This is I just make a point easily to understand. What is the master is responsible for managing complete cluster, and you can access the master node not only with the command line utility, like you can say OC, okay, OpenShift client is the command line utility, or you can use the GUI or API centric, okay. Next is the master watches over the nodes in the cluster, and it's responsible for actual orchestration of containers on the worker node, and for achieving the fault tolerance or the metric subsystem is there Prometheus, okay. So it will continuously monitor your cluster, okay, health check of your cluster, like in your Linux you are using ps command, top command, okay. So there is some monitoring tool, okay, in your infrastructure we are using, and it is the access point. Master is the access point from which administrators and other users, you can say operations or developers, interact with the cluster to manage the scheduling and deployment of containers. And definitely it will contain the etcd, scheduler, controller, and API server. So etcd is nothing but the checking or containing the resource definitions, all the resource definition. So if you can ask me what are the resources, we will elaborate each and individual resources. What exactly pod, okay, single unit of containers are running in your cluster is called a individual units. In the pod you can run your container application. So to run the container application, what is the image stream, what is the in the image stream, what is which version of image we are using. So to get that thing we have to all the resource definition means what is the deployment file, my application is deployed using the php image. So how I can know from where it will get the image, what is the deployment configuration file, you have to show me the deployment or dc file. Next resource is replication controller. I am telling what, auto scale up. Auto scale up means someone using, can I use 50 application, 20, suppose I want to scale my application, I have a http application and I want to create 20, 50 replicas for that. Is it allowed? So how I restrict if I consume your all the cluster resources? So how to do resource management, we have to discuss about the resource quota chapter, okay. How to manage the cpu, memory, pods, and replication controller for this application, how much services are running, how many pods are running, or how many replication controller are there. So all the resource definition like deployment config, or you can say build config, now the name is changed to deployment, but yes, you can go for the deployment config resource also. And this image stream, pod, node, project, service, these all things, not only this all resource definition, now you people taking a advantage of operators, okay. Operators means not only I only play I have to play with the all the predefined resources by OpenShift or Kubernetes. Can I create my own resource, custom resource definition to run my application? Yes, you can with the help of operators. How to install the operators? This operator feature is coming in our OpenShift course. But yes, how to develop a operator we are not going to discuss in this system administrator 2 course. That is the next course you have to go for. That is do288 development course, or you can go for do380. But yes, can I know about the operators? Can I install a operator from operator hub io? So I cannot manage the predefined resources. Yes, you are open now. How to install, how it is integrated with your OpenShift, these things we are going to discuss in our course curriculum. But yes, uh, can I write create a operator using a operator sdk tool, or you can say with the help of Go language or Ansible playbook? No, you cannot. Okay, not here. But yes, if you want to learn more, yes, you can go for the next development level of course of OpenShift. Next component, scheduler. Scheduler is nothing but it will uh, check the capacity, not only with the size, okay, with some policy, with some affinity rule, which zone, like if someone exposed to the AWS, you are knowing some North Virginia, some of the zone regions, okay, availability zone. Similar way, the scheduler will decide with some criteria, not only the size, okay, it will check the node capacity to run your application, how many containers are already running on the node. This will all checked and schedule your application on a specific node in your cluster, okay. And it looks for the newly created containers and assign them to the nodes. You cannot say my application is run in node 1, no, okay. If you want to say like that, that is also some node selector is there, okay. API server in the master. So master communicate with the rest of the cluster through the Kube API server. This is very important component. Okay, so this is a with to interact with the control plane components as to the worker node as well. You have to communicate through the Kube API server. It is the main access point to the control plane. It validate and execute users REST command and Cube API server. Please go mute. Mukul or someone is talking, please go mute. Okay. So Cube API server also makes sure the configuration in etcd match with the configuration of the containers deployed in the cluster. So each control plane components and the worker node components, so how they interact with the help of the Cube API server. Controller manager, it's nothing but the brain behind the orchestration. They are responsible for noticing, responding when the means controlling means they are monitoring, continuous monitor, okay. When the nodes or containers endpoints goes down, you are not exposed to what is endpoint, okay. So when my application goes down, if thousand of applications are running, 5,000 pods, 3 lakh pods are running, so how I can monitor this? All things are managed by the control manager. The controller makes decision to bring up new containers in such cases. If any nodes go down immediately, okay, automatically with from the deployment, some strategies they are using rollback, okay. So they continuously monitor when my pod goes down, when my application goes down, in which node goes down, how I just come up, bring it up, okay. So this all things auto healing is monitored, the health check, continuous health check of the cluster with the help of control manager. The Cube Control Manager runs control loops that manage state of the cluster by checking required deployment. So all these things we had to go with the practical example. Then only you clearly understand the architecture of OpenShift, how it will work. Okay, each and every components. Next is what we are using the command line tool, that is nothing but called OC. Same you are using in Kubernetes, kubectl. Okay, OC is the command line utility, and we are login to the cluster or deploying any application, like you are using the Docker tool. While you are using Docker application Kubernetes for kubectl, we are using the command OC. Next is what? OpenShift worker node. So worker nodes mandatory. One component is running, that is called kubelet. Okay, kubelet is a agent which is responsible for interacting with the master to provide health information of the worker node. So how the controller node come to know? The controller node directly not communicating with the node, they just communicate with the Cube API server, and Cube API server fetches the status report periodically from the node with the help of the kubelet. Okay, and there is another component is running called Cube Proxy, which is responsible for ensuring network traffic is routed properly to the internal and external services. Now someone want that I want to not only inside my cluster, I want to expose my application outside the cluster. So I have to create a route path. So is it a secure traffic you are using or HTTP? What are the secure routing? So each of these things we have to discuss in the how to create the secure route. What are the network policy I have to route, I have to write to restrict the traffic. Suppose you are exposed to the farewell. Farewell is what? Allowing some service, restricting some service. Similar way, you have to write some network policy or network rules. Okay. So Cube proxy here is responsible for ensuring the network traffic is routed properly to internal and external services as required based on the rules. How we define the rule, which incoming traffic I am allowing, which outgoing traffic, how many clients hit to my application. Okay, so what are the load balancing, how service will balance the load. Okay, so all these things we have to discuss in brief in our networking chapter. What exactly software defined networking, and what is the difference between the Docker networking and SDN networking. So imperative versus declarative commands. Okay, so definitely Kubernetes, we have to discuss each component. As I said, whatever you deploy a application, you have to define a project, or in Kubernetes the terminology used namespace. And we have to discuss what exactly the pod, what is deployment service, and how I keep my sensitive information in a secure manner. Okay, so I have to create so that's how I have to create the secrets, like some username, password, or some SSH key, or some TLS certificate. So how I create the secret to keep the sensitive information in a more secure way in my cluster. So that we have to going to discuss here. And yes, we are not use in it, we are also going to use any of the verb based commands, means how we create my application, how we scale our application, how we change our application with the OC command line utility. Not only command line, I also show you in the web console interaction. Okay, that already we discussed. This is in our part of course chapter 8, I can say. So 9 chapter 9 days we have to 9 chapter 3 days we have to discuss all these things in details. So last but not the least, this is the final slide. Okay, what are the advantages or driving factors? So high availability, and definitely containerized application run on top of the container OS, or you can say core OS. So lightweight operating system, and yes, load balancing. Okay, thousand of applications are running up and running in your cluster. Automatically you can create the replica. So how the service will configure to do the load balances between the applications running on different nodes, and what is the logging and monitoring tool we are using to monitor the health check of our cluster. Storage, if I come to the storage in containers, all of you just remember here, storage is ephemeral, but how we are using a persistent storage, or we can use the dynamic storage. I have to use the, suppose AWS we are using the elastic block storage. In OpenStack environment we are using Cinder storage. But as a system admin, I know NFS storage, I know iSCSI storage or SAN server. So one of the storage server you configure, and how you dynamically provide the storage to your application, and you want to know, as the storage is ephemeral, how you make it persistent with the resource PV and PVC, persistent volume and persistent volume claim, we are going to discuss in first or second chapter itself. Next to that, auto scaling, how to scale up your application manually and with the help of HPA, horizontal pod autoscaler, auto scaling. Okay, next we have to discuss application management. As I said, you can run any type of application from the template file, from the S2I, source to image, or you can deploy an application from the Docker image. So these all things are the driving factors, including the cluster extensibility. Means we cannot go with only the predefined resources. We are now in the advanced discussion, we are discussing about the operators. Okay, means human knowledge is codified. Okay, human operational knowledge is codified with the, that is nothing but the use case of Kubernetes operator. These all are the driving factors, or you can say these are the features of OpenShift we are going to discuss. Okay, so before recapping the session, I just answer your queries in your chat box. Let me just scroll up. Is OpenShift, so Sivram, thanks for raising this question. Is OpenShift uses Kubernetes internally? Absolutely correct. Under the hood of OpenShift Kubernetes resources we are using, okay, including that it will give the integration with the SCM, it will give the integration with the pipelines, and yes, open container initiative it will support. It is built on top of Kubernetes. Psych is asking, no, it is not. It is running on top of your control plane components, is running on top of the core operating system. That is nothing but a container Linux. Okay. So it is not running on top of Kubernetes. Okay. We are using the resources of Kubernetes. Okay. So to deploy, to scale our application. So Kubernetes is nothing but a orchestration management tool. Orchestration management tool means auto healing of your application. That is not possible with the help of Docker. If any application goes down, automatically that application is not bring up. Okay. Still the solution is come with Docker Compose, but it is not giving the enterprise grade support. Okay. I hope Saik you are comfortable with your answer. Next, okay, Sivram, I hope you got your answer. Next,
Yeah,
Praveen.
I have one more question,
Yeah,
Mitali.
please, please, please.
Yeah, so the OpenShift will automatically integrate, right? So we can integrate source code management tool, right?
Yes, yes,
And the same way, we can also integrate the the pipeline things like a Jenkins and all.
yes,
हाँ वो
yes.
सब नहीं चला बड़ा गाड़ी है
Okay. So next, Praveen is raising the question. I think
हम्म
OpenShift Enterprise and production ready Kubernetes with support. Yes. Yes, Praveen. Please go
उसका
mute.
यहाँ लॉन्च होने वाला फरवरी में
Mithilesh, please go mute from your end. If you have any question, you can put in this forum. And why
Hi,
come?
ma'am. I'm
Yeah,
Benston.
please.
I'm
Yeah, please.
Benston. Very good morning.
Mention, please. Good
I'm
morning.
sorry I was a little late to join the session. I
No
wanted to
problem.
know if for implementing OpenShift in an organization where I'm working, do we have to compulsory have Red Hat installed on it, or can we run this on a CentOS image or any other operating system?
Earlier, when you want to, now you are coming to raising this question from the installation method, this part is coming. I just elaborative here. So when you want to install the OpenShift, there are two types of method we are using. One is user provision infrastructure, one is UPI method, user provision infrastructure, and another one is the IPI. Okay. So where I had to install, what is the platform. So if you can up to 3.11 version, the control plane means the master node, okay, you
Okay.
can run on top of RHL 7 or CentOS. You cannot get the enterprise support in CentOS, but now onwards in OpenShift 4 is the 4.6 is the latest version. We are delivering this training because Red Hat is provide the training on 4.5, okay, with all the new features included. So you can run the master node only on core operating system. Okay, worker node you can use the RHL 7.6 onwards, any version is fine. Okay, but yes, the master node components must run on the core OS, Red Hat core OS, that is the container Linux. Okay,
So worker can also be a CentOS.
no,
It has to be Red Hat completely.
mm, core OS. Okay, Red Hat core OS, you have to be install the master node components. So thanks Mithilesh for raising this question. Next to that, okay, if you want to check about the installation, I just inform you here, installation is a not part of this course. There is a specific course is designed if because installation, some students are telling that I want to install on AWS environment. Okay, I want to run on the VMware or different environment, so I want to run in the bare metal. Okay, so according to the customer's demand, Red Hat removed this installation part from this 280 course, and they designed a specific course for installation, that is 322. Okay, it's coming soon in 2021. I just update the course code, I just heard that it is 322 for installation method. Okay, it's not yet released, it's going to be released. Okay, So you can elaborate in that course what exactly the UPI installation and IPI installation method. IPI is nothing but your infrastructure provide all the installation. Okay, there is a predefined YAML files are there. You have to update or make some changes, and your cluster is ready. And next I come to Naveen is raising a question: why companies are not using OpenShift? Is there any disadvantage of using OpenShift? So nothing like that. Who told you? Our organizations, it's giving the organization and enterprise level support. Okay, most of the companies, if they're performing, developing and deploying their app on top of OpenShift only. Okay, this is the wrong assumption. uh, Yes, Sivram. As I tell that under the hood of OpenShift, Kubernetes is running only. Kubernetes is the orchestration management tool. It is the orchestration management tool to scale up your application. Okay. But yes, whatever you run in the OpenShift, you have to do in the project. Okay. In your Kubernetes, we are using the kubectl command, kubectl run. Okay. We are running the affinity, anti-affinity rule. There is a different command line tool set. Here we are managing with the OC, but yes, under the hood all the Kubernetes resources are working. But here the important part is project and integration with the pipelines and the source control management. Not only that, it will support what? OCI, open container initiative. Okay, any runtime images. And
Hi, sorry, I have one another question.
yeah, Benj, please.
Benston here.
Yeah,
And
please.
for this learning OpenShift,
Yes.
what are the prerequisites from a DevOps
Yes.
perspective?
Okay, so for the prerequisites, I will show the PDF copy right now. Okay,
Yes,
so
please.
prerequisites for this course is you must have the equivalent knowledge of RSCSA, system
Okay.
admin course, Red Hat certified system administrator. I'm telling equivalent knowledge means you
Okay.
have to know what is yum install command, wget command, how to
Mhm.
download, how to copy, move, all the basic things you must have to know. Second thing is do18 course. Before this 280, what exactly the containers, how I run an image, what is the podman tool, and how we deploy our application. Some exposed to the basics of introduction to the containers and Kubernetes. That part I am going to cover those who are registered for the 23rd training. Before
Okay.
the training, those who are not, those who are already exposed to Docker, it is fine for them, absolutely join to this course. But those who are not exposed, only knowing the Linux, okay, they must have to join this course of container management. Okay, that is nothing but what exactly container, what the podman, what are the new things, how I manage with the podman. These are the prerequisites.
So we are also going to cover the prerequisites
Yes,
before the
that's
start
I'm
of the
telling.
actual course.
Yes, this is not the part of the course DO280, but yes, this is the course is design 180. But yes, those who are not exposed, we are spending 4 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 days for this understanding what exactly the Podman, how to deploy the application, what are the resources of OpenShift. These all things we are taking before the session is started, because this session is completely taken care by the Red Hat. You are getting the soft copy and the virtual classroom training, and what you can say lab access, and your link to join from Blue Jeans. Everything is a part of Red Hat. Okay, so prior to that you must have to cover the prerequisites. Okay,
And so
nothing to pay, it's
it's
free
like,
of cost.
okay.
Is
Okay,
As I understand, what I
23rd.
just a second, sorry, let me finish. Sorry. So we just have to go step by step, right? Like first we'll
yeah,
need to learn about containers, then about
yes,
Kubernetes, and then we
yes.
learn about the OpenShift.
Listen, what you have to learn in these 4 hours, what are the prerequisites? You have to understand containers. I am not going to discuss Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a specific course delivered by COSS. Okay, that
Okay,
is a
okay,
certification course, CKA. Okay, for
okay.
in that training, if you registered, then you can go with all the Kubernetes command. What I am
Okay.
discussing, what are the Kubernetes resources, how we deploy the application, what is the
Okay.
basic of OpenShift networking, what is S2I image. This all thing we are going to cover. Okay.
Okay, now I understood that because we are managing the Kubernetes services,
Yes.
uh, we first need to have knowledge about Kubernetes before we get into this OpenShift course.
Yes, you must have to know the
Right, right,
resources.
okay.
Okay.
How much time do you think it will take for me to finish the CK course, ma'am? Roughly, I don't know from course if someone can answer.
To for the CK course you want to join and finish this course before that?
Yes, I'm thinking because I have not even got my hands dirty on Dockers actually.
Not a
No.
big deal. Okay. Let me share the screen in the course curriculum. Okay. So in that time, in this meantime, if anyone raise any question, please go with that.
Yeah, have Giri this side.
Yeah, please.
You told me that on 23rd and 24th
Yes.
sessions.
Yes.
So you gonna take care of those sessions? Is that um, you mentioned, right? It is a
Yes. Yes.
free session. It's a free session, right?
Yes. Not
Okay.
23rd, 24th. 23rd, our actual training start. Are you able to all of you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Is it visible? See here.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the OpenShift system administrator 2. Okay. Someone is asking prerequisites.
Yeah.
All of you are able to see now? Okay. Basics. Okay. You must have entered the complete Red Hat OpenShift 1. What is container? What is Kubernetes components? That I am going to cover before your class. Okay. Next to that, you have the certified administrator or equivalent knowledge. Okay. And this course 23, 24, and next Saturday, Sunday, and Saturday 9 to 5, we have to cover these 9 chapters. Okay. As I mentioned in my slide. Okay. So authentication and OpenShift resources. So prior to that, if you don't know what is resource, what is networking, so I just give you one not idea with examples so that you understand and feel yourself confident in the classroom itself, and you can go for the system administrator 2 course. Clear? So in these days, three chapters, 9 chapters are there, but 9 chapters managing with the web console, and finally one comprehensive review lab. You have to start practice. So each day, these three chapters I am going to discuss. Saturday, Sunday, next Saturday. Prior to that, I have to cover what exactly the container, what is the podman tool, how you run. Those are not exposed as someone is raising this question sometime before. Okay. So what exactly the networking used in OpenShift, how we deploy, what are the component, what is pod I don't know, what is node I don't know, what is master I don't know. These all things I have to explain with example.
So
Is it
when is
fine?
that session? Is that on the same 23rd or
Yes.
before?
No, before that, because 9 to 5 you are taking under all the control of Red Hat is sharing the link. Okay.
Mhm.
So prior to that, we will schedule according to your registration. Okay. It's a max to max 2021 or 19 20 21.
Okay.
I want to check. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Because earlier some students are directly joined. So anyway, they're just certified. Okay. And not only 3 days of training, I'm providing the exam orientation session. No need to, because this course is nothing but learning as well as for your certification. You are getting the 90 days lab when you registered from the Red Hat. And these 3 days of training. So these labs you are getting synchronized with me. You can practice with me and raise your question simultaneously, and that lab hours is completely free for the 3 days. Okay. Unlimited time you can access your cluster and complete your task of first day. Whatever the 3 chapters, they are giving very good lab exercises, guided exercises. We are going through the quiz section, how much you are able to understand or not. Okay. All the exercises I have to do from my end, I will explain with doing simultaneously. If you do, that's good. No, later in the late evening I want to practice, you can go for it. Okay. Lab is with you. uh yes, please. Any other question regarding this training?
Yeah, hi. Just a quick one. I actually tried to put it in the chat window, but I think it got misleaded.
Yeah, please
So
go
yeah,
ahead.
so people just ask about whether the prerequisite like RSC or equivalent knowledge.
Yes.
And then for again, if Kubernetes is good, or at least the basics. If you want to go for the CK or certified Kubernetes administrator. The thing
Yes.
I wanted to ask is for this. Oh, so this might not be your first batch, isn't it? You have taken so many batches
Yes.
for OpenShift.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it might sound stupid, but I just wanted to ask that OpenShift is something new after people working on Kubernetes. It's actually a kind of uh, a, a a go-to step for them
Yes.
go to
Yes.
OpenShift because now it's quite hot in the market. Uh, how do you feel that if a guy like me, and I've got I don't have much experience on cloud computing as such, but I've gone through few courses on Udemy and stuff like Dockers and
Okay, I understood. Okay, your point. Okay. So like you also, I taught most of the candidates of my earlier batch and
Mhm,
they certified. Okay, what I suggest for them, they are not
mhm,
already exposed from Bank of America. I'm specifically mentioned the name also.
mhm,
If you want to discuss, you can discuss with them. Okay,
mhm,
so they just certified. A lot of practice is required. Okay,
mhm,
so they are not joining. They are not exposed to, because Podman, Scopio, build a, you are not building any image nowhere, not in your course curriculum, not in your certification. Okay, now you
mhm,
are waiting when I CK done OpenShift, then I do. That is
mhm,
also different. You cannot, if you know everything on CK, OpenShift is for me. No,
mhm,
basics. Basics is required. You must have to know the resources,
mhm,
because CK examination, as I'm delivering both of the training I'm suggesting. Okay, in the CK curriculum, whatever the command you learn Manmad Musammad or some everyone learning from the
yeah,
Udemy or any portal. Okay, it's very
yeah,
frank I am saying. Okay, so we are providing what we are providing bit by bit question we are discussing on the CK training. Okay,
mhm,
and from the starting from the fundamentals with the installation, all the steps in the CK program. Okay,
mhm,
with the latest version 1.19 of
mhm,
Kubernetes. Next, this part will help me in OpenShift. Only in the first chapter it will help you. Only in the first chapter. Okay,
okay,
because in the first chapter they are telling, okay, what are the Kubernetes resource. Nowhere you are using, under the hood Kubernetes is there. I'm repeating,
mhm,
under the OpenShift hood is Kubernetes is there. But how you can manage, how you can get certified, with the help of what? OC, command line utility, or web console. Okay, so that fundamental, what exactly the resource, okay, that we are going to cover. Okay, 4 hours is enough. And to do certification, these
mhm,
labs are very important. Without doing this lab, you are unable to troubleshoot, because max of your questions are coming from troubleshooting.
mhm,
Application deployment, no one is asking. Kubernetes certification, you apply your, you deploy your application, run and certify 2 hours or 2 hours of exam. That's
mhm,
fine. Okay,
mhm,
you have to know role based access control, you have to know the identity provider method, and it's a practical based training. Okay, if you are confident with your lab, no, if 3 days class is done, Mitali, we cannot ask your doubt to us, nothing like that. Anytime any lab you stuck or not understand, let me know.
mhm,
Okay, I will connect to the any desk and help you out. But yes, practice is your job, because if you don't practice, then how you understand this concept? Because if everything is running, how you people troubleshoot if error is not coming? Okay,
mhm,
so this lab is having some error, having some scenario based training, so you can observe and hands on practice, get yourself confident. Okay,
mhm. Okay, thanks.
yeah, welcome.
Yeah,
uh
Mitali, sorry, I have
yeah.
one final question. So, what kind of platform you are using to explain the sessions? Is that something like you go with AWS or
OpenStack cloud.
VMware? Or it's a private cloud. Okay.
Yes, it's a private cloud. Red Hat OpenStack is a private cloud. And yes, you people also gave the same lab. Okay, whenever Red Hat is providing, you no need to worry. You are getting the same lab. All the cluster is up and running. You perform your task. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
it is available
Thanks.
to you.
Thanks.
Yes. And Bhaskar is raising a question: is NFS storage is recommend? No, not at all. Okay, for the storage you can go for, as I said, different like your container runtime initiative. I am telling a story about Docker, Rocket, Drawbridge, LXC. Similarly, CSI, Container Storage Initiative. Okay, Elastic Block Storage, Cluster FS storage, Safe storage, or iSCSI storage. Okay, in our course curriculum, NFS storage. It's not mandatory. Okay, if you are running on AWS, EBS you use, OpenStack, Cinder storage is there. Okay, so it's not recommend for NFS storage. Okay, it's for classroom training and learning perspective. Okay, storage, your private organization is pre-configured which kind of storage they can use. Okay, so before I wind up this session, thanks. It's a nice discussion. Okay, I hope to a level you just understood what we are going to discuss and all the process. I just hand over this one to Mr. Nityanand from COSS, who will elaborate your registration and what is the day of starting of these prerequisites and what the day of starting. Okay, yeah. Thanks all.
Thank you, Mitali.
Uh, Good afternoon, guys. This is Nityanand, manager from COSS. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
See, I hope in this session you have, given a brief idea about the objective, the outcome, and the prerequisite of this do280 as a course of Red Hat, which is nothing but OpenShift container as a platform administration tool. As generally in COSS, definitely I owe to your respect and the kind of trust level we have got in this Red Hat training and certification since 2004, being the best Red Hat training partner. We try our level best to give you the best updated training received from Red Hat. Try our level best to support you in whatsoever the condition in the best possible manner. In this COVID situation, you have also an advantage of getting the video recording of the class apart from what you will learn from Mitali as an instructor. She being the instructor from maybe 3.0 of OpenShift, one of the distinguished faculty in the Red Hat ecosystem for delivering this training. You will also give an assistance as 100% of the participant they look forward for certification. Our objective of this training is also to make you certified. So learning from the instructor, getting a video recording class of all chapters to review, relearn, recap things n number of times. Only that you cannot download the HT video content, which is valid for 90 days. But yes, n number of time you can again revisit that. Plus 80 hours of lab, digital copy of the courseware, which Mitali described, you will get on your name downloaded, will be your learning entire end-to-end solution. 3 days of learning training followed by one more day of exclusively examination preparation. I am pretty sure that you will clear your examination. Now, generally this kind of webinar we conduct whether you join or not, to introduce yours, our participants, customers, clients to the new technology, like Kubernetes container, this OpenShift. We conduct many other webinars. Now you are registered, you will be getting time to time the link, the invitation from our end. You can always join to make your technology skill updated, knowing what is coming from Red Hat, and in fact what are other things also coming. We invite industry speakers. We also invite Red Hat speakers to speak in these specific forums. On top of that, you will also get a direct link from Red Hat going forward, because this detail I'm going to share with Red Hat. So you will be getting update from Red Hat what is also going on as far as technology is concerned. particularly this webinar has been designed to a batch which is starting on 23rd. Generally, we do before 2 weeks for registration process, but unfortunately, this batch came in between. I mean, before it, the festival came. I hope you enjoyed your festival. So I deliberately I kept it on Sunday so that you are free from your enjoyment festivals and all, back to work from Monday. Tomorrow, between today and tomorrow, by end of the day by 4 p.m. we are opening this for registration. I hope all of you have received the mail from us, isn't it? Can somebody confirm that they have got the complete detail information from us, including the bank detail?
Yes, Nitya.
Yeah, so you can register between today tomorrow, and as Mitali said, we are also giving a brief idea about the prerequisite that Kubernetes container whatever. Generally the demonstration, the practical, we cannot give you for those basics, but yes, I know that till date, those things are not given as a specific training, or nobody was purchasing, right? Keeping that in mind, we understand, we respect your queries. We will meet again once your registration is done, between your today and your starting date of, that is 23rd. We will meet for 2-3 hours. We will give you sufficient time to join that particular meeting and get your basics a little refresh, those you know, those who do not know, to get an idea. I can also tell you that even if you do not know, these Red Hat curriculum are designed in such a manner that you are good to go. These are all practical based, hands on things. So the trainer will demonstrate each of your labs in front of you one time. Second, again from each chapter being there is a question for exam, they all will discuss about what is the particular question and what is the particular answer. So you got the knowledge, you got the question, you got the answer, you got the lab, and you got the digital copy of the book wherein you are good to go for your certification. Now once you are ready, once you raise your purchase order, we will get a link from Red Hat which is directly will be controlled by you. Once you get the link, that link will allow you to register for your certification, which is, that link is valid for 365 days, but we generally request you, because you are getting a 90 days lab, 90 days video recording of the class, finish within 90 days. Now how you will finish that examination? There are two options available in Red Hat now. One is called the kiosk. You might be knowing by now, if you are exposed to COSS environment, there is something, a predefined, pre-configured laptop, which one is in Bangalore and one is in Hyderabad, in BTM in Bangalore, and our Aditya Trade Center in Amirpet, where you can, when you click on that link, it will open you up a scheduler. From that scheduler, at your time and date, based on the availability, first come first service, you can book your examination and you can appear. Now in this pandemic situation also, Red Hat has started the long awaiting writing the examination from home like other OEM, right? So that option is available within 4.5 OpenShift. I will provide you one camera and a pen drive completely free of cost, or 4,000 rupees. You can collect wherever you are, from your Bangalore location or Hyderabad location, which is nearer, comfortable to you, and you can select the exam option called remote examination. Remote is nothing but writing the examination from your home. But remember, a pen drive, 16 GB blank pen drive, and an external USB based camera. Even if you have a camera in your laptop camera is not mandatory. Even if you don't have, you can appear the exam from your desktop. But remember, USB based camera is needed, mandatory. That also we will provide you. You can collect it from us, we can ship you. If you are in a remote location, only that shipment cost will be borne by you, whatever nominal, exactly, right? So once that a particular two things you have booked, then somebody will ask, Nityanand, I cannot go to COSS. I am in Hyderabad or Bangalore. Can I I'm not getting actually the what you can say kiosk exam. Only I have left with an option for remote exam, but I don't have a particular exam like environment at my home. I don't have a let's say compact room. I don't have a proper backup, or I don't have a system, right, wherein I can comfortably and freely I can appear my examination. I am using my office laptop. They may not allow all these stuffs. Never mind, right? In Bangalore and Hyderabad, you can make our office as your home. You need to select a remote exam. Before one day you just tell us, but remember your examination should be between 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Within that you need to finish your exam. You cannot make it as 1 a.m. because it will allow you from your home to appear the exam even at 1 a.m. Remember, this is a global exam. Your proctor is sometime from uh, Gulf, sometime from US, sometime from Europe, sometime from Australia, sometime from India. So based on the time zone availability, it's completely a seamless platform where everything is maintained, coordinated, and confirmed. So you cannot think that 1 a.m. means how I will do. It will allow you to also write at 1 a.m. morning, 2 a.m. morning. But if you need COSS support, I always request you, suggest you, you need to make it between 7 a.m. morning till 10 p.m. with a pre-notice. We will help you with the details, how you will go for it, and you can go for it. Now, you will ask Nityanand, I now I am comfortable to learn from Mitali, but what about the video recording class? What about my lab? Remember, it is also a seamlessly integrated platform. The moment you register, we will raise a purchase order. That is the reason I am telling you. Between tomorrow and 23rd, we are taking 5 days at least to get your things available for you. Once your training starts, you will get a lab to activate and work on that. You will get a blue gene link to learn from the instructor. It is end to end controlled by the Red Hat ecosystem. Nothing to do with cost, except the trainer. Like you, the trainer also will get along with you the link where he or she can connect to you for that particular training. Do not miss any even a single minute. It is a complete 6 to 7 hours of learning, 1 2 hour of demonstration of lab, back to back, 18 to 3 days of training, followed by one more day of examination preparation. Now, if you ask me how actually I am going to practice those labs, once your 3 days of training is done, we will give you one more link where your 80 hours of practice lab will be activated, which is absolutely free for you by Red Hat. Then you learn, you got the concept, you got the question and answers, you understood how it goes, then you practice, book your examination either from remote or kiosk as an availability, as you like, as per your wish and the time availability, and go for it. At any moment, I am sharing you my number. We will create a WhatsApp group for a quick communication once you register. Remember, 4 people have already registered for this group batch. They have already paid the money, and their system is their data is already with us, those who are going to join. Now, between now and tomorrow evening, we will tomorrow early morning we will touch base with you through a call, either Somya from Bangalore or Monica uh, or Ramya from Hyderabad. They will call you personally. Please lift the call, please give your input. If you say that Nityananda, I am going for the next batch, no problem. We are giving you as an information sharing platform. Always every month we will be conducting the batch, and month on month there is a planning well before will be published. So because of festival, generally it happens in the second week. I pushed it to third or fourth week because of the festival season. Now I will expose you to all of you. You can unmute yourself, and if you have a specific question, I think you got the price detail. Those are all discounted and highly discounted prices. Pay between today and tomorrow by 4 or exactly 3 p.m, so that by 4 p.m our purchase it is already ready. Your data will be immediately entered to that, and we will submit it, so that before 23rd, one day, I think by 22nd morning, you will get the links to join for the 23rd season. I'm giving you opportunity. If you have any question, I try to give you a brief idea, beyond the technical stuffs, how this really this training and certification, and many people have already certified. For your information, many corporates, they are joining each batch and they have already got certified. Now, may I know if you have any question, or we'll bind up the session? Sorry, we are just 5 to 7 minutes delayed, almost 10 minutes delayed. But nevertheless, I will take one or two important question if you would like to. Unmute and speak, please. Over to you all.
Hi Nityanand, this is Satish. Actually, I'm from IBM.
Yeah, Satish, tell me.
Yeah, only the training cost will be differ from the complete certification cost.
Yes, it will be different. It will be little less actually.
Okay, I will call
5 to
after
6,000
the.
will be, yeah, it will be less, definitely.
I will call after this session.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, because I know IBM, you might have got the examination voucher directly, because IBM Red Hat is one company. Nevertheless, you can. I will reduce what is appropriate cost, and you can go for it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Satish. Anybody else having any specific questions? I am there. My number, kindly note down: 970-4456. I will put it in the chat box. Right. My name is Nityanand. I take care of training and certification for COSS since a decade and a half. I would love to, assist you, guide you, and serve you as the best possible extent as a, um, training partner of Red Hat in the best possible way. So my mail ID and my number I am typing in this chat box. You can always reach me, and let me know if you have any question specifically that you think that I can be of your help. I'm just typing. Please watch your. Hope you got my mail ID. Yeah,
No.
yeah. Just a second. It was a private message. I'm just putting it for everyone. I'm retyping it. I'm repeat. Give me a second. Meantime, you can ask your question. Somebody. Yeah, my name is Nityanand. Somebody was asking something. Sorry. Go ahead, please. As I said, Satish, you can reach me after this. No problem. So I will consider that nobody is having any doubt. I repeat, between today and tomorrow, you need to give your consent and register. If you have any doubt, no problem. Today is Sunday, early morning tomorrow, all of you by 11, by 10:30, 11 o'clock, you will get a call from us. Right? If you have already registered with us, definitely you will get a call. We are taking the detail now, and try to reach out, from our end as well. Thanks
Thank
all
you.
of you. Wish you a very eventful weekend. I am closing this meeting here.